Welcome to this episode of Disrupt Education. I got Kelvin Evans here. We're at the Oak Park Library. Thanks for being here, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. Tell us about you. Tell us what you're up to these days.
I'm Kelvin. I went to OPRF, and I work at a marketing firm right now. It's direct sales. We go business to business. Pretty simple concept. I have $120 to $150 of stuff I get to sell for just $20.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the goal isn't necessarily to become this great salesman. That's not really the business. It's more so just to talk to as many people as you can, and you're gonna find somebody to say yes to you at that point.
Right.
Because the deal is just that good.
Mm-hmm.
With that, it's about building a team of people who can do that as well, who can take constant rejection, and it's about taking an employee who applied for a job, cracking open their head and giving them an entrepreneur mindset, right? So it's about finding the people that you can do that with.
Right.
And just like in the field, when I'm selling stuff, the principle is LOAs, law of averages. I talk to many to find a few. The same thing goes with finding people to build a team with. I talk to many to find a few.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's business, right? We try, but most of the time we fail.
Right.
You're gonna win if you keep trying. And that's the point.
From, like, you went to college for a semester.
Right.
Tell us about that. So in high school, tell us about like your high school experience, right? And then going into college for a little while, but then your experiential mindset in putting this together.
Yeah, I feel like I'm so far removed from that. It's weird. It's like two different like existences. But high school was interesting because my mindset was so poor. I wasn't sure that I could do things. And it wasn't until going into my senior year, a little bit before that, that I really got that fire, like, oh no, wait, we can make this happen? And things just took off from there, right? So we got into business club, and we started doing little fundraisers, things of that nature. Then we're doing bigger projects, right, with the entire neighborhood involved, all the way to Hyatt, right? These different things made me confident. Like, hold on, I got a background, and what was I, like 17?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I know college students who got masters who don't have that experience. That experience propelled me to really start to study, to really start to dive into things, and to really start to educate myself. And I got into self-education. As I went into college, I went to ISU for actually 3 semesters.
3 semesters, okay.
Yep. And it was kind of like, I was just stalling, to be honest. Because I never really saw school as my avenue. It's just not in my DNA. It's like, I'm backing away like naturally without not even trying to.
Right.
But I believe that education is very, very important, but that is not necessarily the best way for people like me. So I left school, and I was working at AMC Theater. And that kind of like got me into, the business that I'm working into now. But prior to that, throughout college, we were actually working on a company called Benapro.
Right.
So this is me, Derek, Daniel, people who did some interviews back in the day. Go check those interviews out. But it was a LLC, and it was an S corp. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it's all right. It's crazy. Like you pivoted so much in there.
Yeah, it was so many things that happened in the span of 2 years.
Yeah.
That it's like a whirlwind. But it was crazy to be such a young age actually owning a business. We have advisors. We got people working with us. We are trying to actually do things. But one thing that became clear was that as much as we wanted it, we weren't necessarily there all the way to be able to achieve it on that level. So this time that I'm in right now is like training. It's like boot camp.
Right.
I believe that this transitionary period is to get me to that place where I'm able to do those things that kind of transcend status quo and stuff like that, right?
So your mindset, I think, what changed, and I kind of saw that change. I remember actually walking in the Hyatt, and, a lot of the students' eyes at the time were lighting up, but yours were focused. I seriously remember going up and having lunch up there, and just, you were just focused, like something snapped in you, and you did have that confidence. But even now, when I was your age, honestly, I was like, I still know it all. I should be at the top. Mm-hmm. Your mindset is so unique because you're thinking, I know that this is the next step to something else, Right. How did you get into that mindset?
I think people, LOAs, right? Mm-hmm. You tried.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
One of my favorite teachers, Miss Stovall, tried. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of people from a very young age try to crack my skull open. Mm-hmm. And I think that when I was, how old was I? I was like 17. And I just got my first car, actually. And we were at track practice. Mm-hmm. And me and my guy, Phil, he was like, yo, let's go to this meeting. My cousin having this meeting at his house. I'm like, what? I haven't seen your cousin since 4th grade. Let's go. Mm-hmm. And when I went there, it was a network marketing meeting for mm-hmm. a company called Vima, right?
Right.
And we all got into that, but what they taught me was student mentality and self-development, right? Mm-hmm. Personal development, and getting into these books and getting into these people and constantly putting the right information into my head. Mm-hmm. So it was a concerted effort to dive into things that were foreign to me mm-hmm. and to get that to penetrate what was already there. And once that happened, it was a little peak, it was a little hole that I could just slip stuff into. And I think that naturally I was curious, mm-hmm. right? I was always kind of a curious person, just about things that I liked.
Right, yeah.
Right? So I kind of was diving in more and more and more and trying to understand the mind, and then it brings me into understanding who I am and understand what's what and like what is actually happening in the world, right? And I'm a lot greater than I thought I was.
Love that statement.
So once you realize that, it's kind of like what's left to fear. Mm-hmm. But I'm not saying that I'm all the way in that space yet.
Sure.
Because that's a process, but I believe that I'm in that process of getting mm-hmm. into that all the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think with that mindset and understanding that, like I said, A, it's incredible, but B, it opens up so many different things, because when you're ready to pivot, which we all pivot constantly, you're never scared.
Right.
And we were just talking before the interview about some different opportunities and different things like that. So with that being said, and understanding, that mindset and how to, people trying to crack your head open and say, come on, how would you, is it possible to go back and change something and crack Kelvin's head open in high school? Yeah. Yes. Or what? Yeah.
Yes.
Do tell.
Because it's a matter of believing in yourself. Mm-hmm. Simply put. When you feel that you aren't there all the way, right? When you feel that you aren't at the level that everyone else has, when you feel that there's a gap, mm-hmm. right? You might fall victim to the pressure of that. Mm. So having a stronger sense of self of who you like really, really are, mm-hmm. and getting really in tune with yourself and having that belief in yourself, that is the first thing necessary. And I don't think I got that until junior year, mm-hmm. into my junior year of high school when I was in track. Right. Shout out to Coach Hassel if you ever watch this.
Because these guys were really fast. I don't know, 17 state championships, I don't know. But you guys did have a team.
Yeah, that was a good time. But he used to tell me every day, you belong here, you belong here, you belong mm-hmm. here, you belong here, you belong here, every single day. Right. And that eventually you got to believe it at some point. Mm-hmm. And I started to fake it until it became natural, until it became real. And then at that point, okay, I can stand next to the best of them. I can do this. I can do that. What's next? I can go and play this sport, right? I can go and learn this thing. I can go and learn about investments in this way, or whatever. I can join debate team, whatever it is you want to do, right? You can do that.
Right.
But you got to first believe in yourself and your capabilities to do things, right? So people don't know who they are. They say, what are you? People say, I'm a painter.
Right.
Like they'll say their occupation.
Yeah.
Or they'll say like, oh, I'm a teacher or I'm a rapper, but you have to know who you are. Like, you're Peter.
Yeah.
Right? I'm Kelvin. I have to be in tune with that first before anything else.
I think at that age it's I mean, frontal lobes are forming and all these different, I don't know this psychology of it, but they move forward. And I think along with sports, was there something, I mean, you mentioned the Hyatt piece, when you're downtown at Hyatt's headquarters talking with the CMO, those types of things. Are there ways that we might be able to expand that in a traditional system or even in a different system? Because track is, athletics does build confidence, and then groups and clubs.
Is it that specifically athletics is doing that though? Like,
true.
What are they teaching? Can that be taught in another subject? The mindset that you can, right? I don't think that the educational system is attempting to go in and actually install that mindset at an early age. I was having a conversation with my grandma yesterday, actually, and I was like, I think I know why I sucked at school, because it was always, you have to do this because you have to do this. I'm not that type of person. You're not going to tell me I have to do this because I have to do this. Why? Make it make sense to me. Sell it to me. You have to sell it to me. You have to. I'm a client.
Yeah.
Right? So what is happening right here and why does it matter? Help me do that and I will give you 100%. Just like when you help me understand why it mattered for you to do what you had presented in front of us, and I gave you 100%, right? So it's the same concept. I don't think that school as we know it today is ready for that, wants that, or even has that in mind, or I don't think that is in their favor, actually. So I believe that it would take a disrupted education. I believe it would take people to build institutions of their own where they can control it, the finances of it, and the politics of it, so that they can actually create something that is free. Like, mentally speaking.
What would Kelvin Evans' school look like?
Oh man, for one, we have to learn how to cook. Like, you know how much I eat out?
I don't, man.
Too much, because I'll go business to business, so I'm outside a lot. So I eat out too much. But what if I actually know how to cook? I could properly meal prep and stuff. I could just save money. But let's get on the health aspects of that. It's significant. It's very, very significant. And that determines the quality of life. We have to learn real estate. You have to know where you're living, right? We have to understand contracts. You're signing contracts verbally. You're signing it written, right? So, but we don't understand them at all. That doesn't make sense. We need to understand law, period. And we need to understand economics as a whole. As a whole, honestly. But not the way they kick it to us. Because I believe they give it to us and don't really help us understand the language. Like, right, you go to the hood, you don't know the language, it's weird. They come here, they don't know the language, it's weird. Like, we can't talk together. Right. So if you don't understand the language of things, we have to get into that. So we have to study etymology, right? And then we can throw in that other stuff, right? We can throw in health and wellness. We can throw in all these other subjects and whatnot. But the problem is not that they're not teaching you good things. It's just that they're not teaching you the necessary things to live. So I have a problem with that. And I just spent 14 years there. That's weird.
Right.
At least.
Right.
So.
Well, I tell you what, if I build a school, I'm going to put a Kelvin Evans wing on it, and we'll make that happen. Where can people find you online, man?
I am on Instagram at Kelvin Evans YPR. You can add me at Snapchat at my old high school at name LILVENO2. You can look me up on Facebook, Kelvin Dante Evans, but I'm not really on social media a lot. You can hit me up, but kind of in my own zone right now, making it happen.
I love it, man. Dude, I can't thank you enough. Appreciate it. You have helped me build Disrupt Education. You know, there is a plaque that has our names on it out there. And you were part of that inspirational group of people who really pushed me to see things in a different way, and I really appreciate it, man. True disruptor right here. Yeah. Guys, watch this guy. Look out, man. This guy's making waves, going to own like 8 businesses or something like that.
I got some steps to do before that. Watch this guy. Watch this guy.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Disrupt Education.